Very good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. on Thursday, March 20th, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. You know, I reference this behind me a lot to make you understand that that is not a live picture. That is a still picture of Jersey City. And I tell you that because right now, this morning, in fact, Pam, can you just bring up that image? This is from the Garden State Parkway. I want you to see this. The dense fog. This is 149.2 southbound. So you could pull that up, Pam, if you can. Because, all right. So here's the thing. Mike is going to tell you about this in a second. We have areas of dense fog this morning. And this is very important because if you're heading out on the roadway, do not think you could be rushing to work based on what we have. Look at that. That is what's happening right now in parts of New Jersey. It's pockety. So some areas you'll hit dense fog, some areas not so much. Thank you, Pam, for taking the curveball at the last second and putting that up. I just want to make sure people see how dense the fog is before you head out the door. And we are going to have that dense fog this morning in some areas, a few showers, then mostly cloudy later, highs about 60. Let's go to meteorologist Mike Favetta, first check of the Garden State Parkway. Mike, good morning to you and happy spring. But I wanted to make sure
Yes,
everybody
happy
saw how
spring.
dense that fog is.
It is because it's not under a quarter mile broadly statewide.
Mm,
There is no dense fog advisory from the Weather Service, but there
mm,
are pockets, Ken, of dense fog that's bringing visibility right down to zero, specifically at the shore points where that easterly breeze is pulling in that cool marine air from Long Branch down to LBI. Zero visibility for you. The Toms River Weather Station is actually over at Lakewood Airport, so a mile visibility there, but that's about 3 or 4 miles inland. Same for you in Atlantic City. That's at the airport, a few miles inland. You head up like we were talking about over toward the Parkway camera you just saw there, not far from Newark, a mile visibility, and back over through Morristown and Flemington. Poor visibility statewide. Doesn't really improve until we get into this afternoon. So on this first morning of spring, good morning everyone and happy spring. We start off at 43 degrees, a pretty uniform temperature simply because that's the temperature of the Atlantic Ocean. All of that wind and air over the Atlantic has moved in statewide and cooled us down to a very chilly 43 degrees. And with that breeze lasting throughout the morning, winds are light, but just enough to keep it cool and keep those temperatures rather chilly this morning. We are running a little bit warmer than this time yesterday, and that's helping that fog develop thanks to that dew point, which whenever you have the dew point that matches the temperature, instant saturation, and there's your fog. Also, the clouds clearing out above the fog layer in the last few hours, that helps to promote more of that fog through the rest of the morning. So through and through, it's going to be a pretty gray and gloomy start. Now into this afternoon, once the fog begins to lift west of the turnpike, well, I think once we get to 9 or 10 o'clock this morning, we'll see some breaks in the clouds and temperatures actually warm to 70 degrees. It's going to be a big, fast warm up today inland. However, if you find yourself along the coast, like through Long Branch, Deal, down through Asbury, even over through Point Pleasant and Toms River, there will be that cool marine air that will filter out the sunshine and keep the fog around for quite some time. You'll also only be in the 40s throughout the afternoon. Then the front moves in from the west, cools us down with the showers and rains. Will keep temperatures, again, back down into the 40s and 50s, but we could get a good soaking tonight that will linger into just before daybreak tomorrow, and then that cool, cold northwesterly breeze, the drier air clears us out and brings back sunshine, but a chilly feel throughout the day tomorrow. A mix of clouds and sun on tap for Saturday, maybe a 5-minute sprinkle, but overall the weekend looks decent in a whole sense. I think Sunday brings back more clouds, and then Monday has another shot of some rain, but overall we're doing pretty good. So on this first day of spring, we start off with some tulips, some cherry blossoms, some fog, more sun tomorrow, a little bit milder by Saturday with a sprinkle, and then sunshine returns again on Sunday. So beyond the morning fog, again, it'll lift, give it a few hours inland, but if you find yourself at the coasts, you're looking at that fog, maybe even mixing with some mist and drizzle, Ken, for the rest of the day until some rain comes in tonight.
And right, I remember our friend, we were talking about it before, our friend Bill Evans used to say fog is an indication of stability. I don't know why that sticks out in my mind. Stability in the atmosphere. So does that mean that everything is just kind of not moving and that's how that happens? You get the cold and the warm at the ground level? but it just kind of
You
stops
are
there.
correct. 10 points for A+ job, Ken. Excellent
That's
work.
all
Because
because I heard it so many times, 20 years every morning with Bill Evans and his ears are ringing. We talked to him yesterday and he sends his love to you, by the way. And I just remember, I actually paid attention, Bill. I listened to you. Wow, a lot of years. Mike Favetta, our meteorologist extraordinaire, you are the best, sir. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate you. We'll be back to it. It is now 46 degrees, very damp. It's very humid. You could feel it. In fact, I'm schwitzy here. And we do have a lot of traffic to worry about. I'm sure if you're in northern New Jersey, you heard about what happened with I-80. Oh, we'll talk about that in a second. I just want to hit some other areas of traffic first. Take a look at the entrance of the GWB, if we could. Pam, look at that. Yuck. Oh, you people who have to do this on a daily basis, God bless you. Now we got about 20 to 30 minutes because it is, even though it's heavy, it is moving slowly. So we don't have any incidents to report. That's the good news. But it's just that volume and the patchy fog and the damp roadways, and that's what you got. So it's about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes to get across the bridge. And that's what you got right now heading into the GWB. We have a utility pole down on Route 70 eastbound east of the Turnpike in Cherry Hill. 2 right lanes are closed, so use caution through there. On I-76, there's a crash eastbound east of exit 2, which is 676 in Gloucester City. The left lane is closed, about a 10 to 15 minute delay through that area. We also have US Route 130, crash investigation, utility pole down on 130 southbound, south of Browning Road in Camden. The right lane is closed. Use caution there. And delays on 295 southbound from north of exit 28, which is Black Horse Pike, to exit 27, I-76 in Belmar. All lanes are open, but there are big delays due to that 76 westbound crash. So that's causing big delays through that part. That's more as you head toward like Trenton and that area, really, really causing some delays this morning. And of course, I saved the best for last. We still have the emergency construction and sinkhole repair on I-80 eastbound at exit 34. Everybody being detoured off. That's by Route 15 in Wharton. And now we have there it is. Look at that. Thank you, Pam. Right on cue. And we also have all lanes closed eastbound. So we've been talking just eastbound while they do the construction. But yesterday, those poor crews they're drilling and finding areas where there might be empty spots, voids. They found one. And some of the construction guys fell into the hole. They're okay. Nobody was injured, thankfully. But can you imagine, God forbid, they didn't do this work like they're doing, and somebody was driving in a year from now and there was a crack in that road, boom. So let it last a month, 2 months, 3 months. These crews, God bless them, say prayers for them because they are saving your life by doing what they're doing out there. And I thank the crews for all their hard work. So let's talk about it now. That busy stretch of I-80 in Wharton, that's in Morris County. It was shut down in both directions yesterday and now after yet another sinkhole opened up. So the latest in a string, this was yesterday. Look at that. Look at that. That's crazy. This is the latest in a string of headaches for this part of the highway. Vehicle backed up for miles during the afternoon rush hour as crews scrambled to respond. It follows months of closures, with eastbound lanes already slated to stay shut for at least 2 more months due to that massive void. It's like 40 feet around, but it goes down 100 and something feet. That was beneath the roadway, part of a Swiss cheese-like network of old mine cavities. Now, the DOT's been working round the clock, but this new crater that you see right there, that thankfully nobody got killed while working on, that is going to cause more delays. It was meant to ease the gridlock. Now it's going to cause more problems. And they're trying to fix it. They're doing their best. No word yet on when the road will reopen, but look at what they have to deal with. So I'm sure you're like me, cut them as much slack as possible because even they don't know what they're dealing with. They're dealing with it on a day-to-day basis and they're learning more as they go along. The engineering company from the 1960s that didn't do their diligence, somebody needs to investigate that. Somebody needs to investigate that because people could have gotten killed. Unbelievable. 7:09 now. The Ocean County prosecutor is investigating the death of an infant in a car on Tuesday. Lakewood Township Police responded to a call about an infant in a vehicle on 5th Street. Despite efforts by EMS, the 4-month-old boy was pronounced dead at Monmouth Medical Center and Southern Campus. The incident under investigation by multiple agencies, including the prosecutor's major crime unit. In Essex County, a man has been sentenced to 65 years in prison for the fatal shooting of another man outside a ShopRite in East Orange back in 2022. Darian Murray, who's 37 from Orange, was convicted of murder and weapons charges for killing Melja Oliver, also 37, with a gunshot to the head. Prosecutors say Murray is required to serve 56 years before parole eligibility. Basically, he has life in prison. He would have to survive his 100th birthday to get out. 7:10 now. New Jersey State Police are asking for your help in identifying a man wanted for credit card fraud. On February 3rd, about 7:30 in the morning, police say this individual used stolen credit cards at the John Fenwick service area that's on Oldmans Township, Salem County. The suspect, according to police, made purchases at the convenience store before fleeing. If you have any information, please call Moorestown Station Detective Bureau at 609-860-9000. That's 609-860-9000, extension 3226. I always want to emphasize there's a difference between Morristown and Morristown, and it sounds almost the same, but this is Moores, which is down south. It is 7:11. The New Jersey DOT has launched an $18 million project to replace bridge fenders at the Route 71 bridge over the Shark River in Belmar starting on March 21st. The main channel's horizontal clearance will shrink from 50 to 25 feet, with crews working weekdays and Saturdays, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. The project is set to wrap up by summertime. It will not affect bridge traffic, but boaters who go through there should plan for the reduced clearance. There you go. A lot of folks work on that. That is not an easy task. 7:11 now. The Atlantic City Air Show is coming back to New Jersey. Visit Atlantic City is teaming up with Herb Gillen Air Shows to bring back the beloved air show with the Visit Atlantic City Soar and Shore Festival. It's set for July 15th and 16th. It's a free event. It'll dazzle crowds, jaw-dropping aerial feats along Atlantic City's beautiful, iconic beach. Organizers promise a spectacle for families and aviation fans alike, boosting local tourism. 7:12 now. 8th and 9th graders from Orange schools recently dove into the world of law enforcement. Check this out. At a recent career event, they were joined by pros from NJ Transit Police, Orange Township Police and Fire, and SWAT team detectives and legal experts. The students explored the field through engaging talks and lively Q&A sessions, sparking interest in future careers. God bless all our law enforcement and firefighters, all of them. 7:12 now. A growing number of women older than 40 are having children, and a record low number of teens are giving birth. So get that. Over 40, yes, having babies. Under 18 or 18 and under, which used to be a large amount of people having babies, not so much. The report released earlier this month by the National Center for Health Statistics. It showed the U.S. fertility rate, the average number of children born to a woman during her reproductive years, continued its decades-long slide through 2023. Overall, the rate has declined 14% since 1990. That's driven largely by younger women under the age of 30 who are having fewer children. So there are more births among women 40 and older than there are to teenage girls and girls in their 20s. A state grand jury decided against criminally charging police officers involved in the fatal 2023 shooting of Patterson community activist Najee Seabrooks. The Office of Public Integrity and Accountability investigated Seabrooks' death and presented its findings to a state grand jury, which voted not to file criminal charges against Patterson police officers Enzor Say and Jose Hernandez. The incident between Seabrooks and police involved a more than 4-hour standoff. Investigators say Seabrooks had been in distress and was acting erratically. The shooting set a precedent for how law enforcement across the state responds to crisis calls. It also led to the state takeover of the Patterson Police Department. And police say they've arrested a man for allegedly possessing more than 300 videos depicting child sexual abuse. Investigators say 34-year-old Jared Kelly of Somerset, taken into custody back on March 7th after searching his home. They say he is charged with second-degree possession of child sexual abuse material. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children told law enforcement it received multiple tips on Kelly. And bad news for a number of New Jersey-based employees for big pharma firm Novartis. Word is 427 workers at the drug company's East Hanover facility will be let go. The layoffs will begin in June. They'll continue through October. Novartis just laid off 235 other New Jersey employees last year. About 3,000 workers will remain on the job, and the company's world headquarters is based in Switzerland. And at 7:14, President Trump and Vladimir Putin have agreed on war. On the ice, that is. Putin proposed organizing ice hockey matches between U.S. and Russian NHL players, something that'll make Pam, our director, very happy because she loves hockey. during his phone call with Trump on Tuesday. Hey, Mr. Trump, we have hockey match. The idea would see special games set up in both Russia and the U.S. with teams composed of players from each country's top flight professional league. War on the ice. That is the way we should be seeing things between the superpowers. And looks like San Francisco's waking up to woke causes. Several longtime corporate sponsors of San Fran's Pride celebrations are pulling their funding for the festivities, leaving Pride organizers scrambling for another way to raise $350,000. In the past 4 weeks, a number of companies told San Francisco Pride they would not be supporting 2025 Pride celebrations. I'm hearing the same thing for New York Pride, by the way. Officially, the sponsors are all saying, oh, it's just because we're having some financial cutbacks. Sorry about that. But that would make sense for one or two, but apparently half a dozen or so of the sponsors are saying, sorry. So the old idea of go woke, go broke may be true. And Vice President J.D. Vance has serious momentum behind him toward the 2028 GOP nomination. His strongest opponent so far is not a person, it's time. With 3+ years to go in President Trump's second term, there's an increasing consensus that Vance, who only first ran for office in 2022, did you realize that? He only ran for office for the first time in 2022. 3 years later, he's the vice president. So the question is, will he be the party's post-Trump standard bearer? But several connected Republicans quietly shared a competing view, saying it's just too early to say that Vance has locked down Trump's mantle for 2028, though he has a good shot. One person close to the administration said that Vance still has to prove himself. As for the president, Trump's in a unique position, both at the peak of his power within the GOP, and he's also a lame duck. There you go. And at 7:15, a 37-year-old Manhattan man has been sentenced to 30 years in prison after being found guilty of sexual assault of a minor. Investigators say Zachary Williams, 33 at the time, but claiming to be 17, traveled to New Jersey to encounter this young girl. The two met on Snapchat in 2020. Investigators say Williams got the girl to send him nude photos, which he would later use to threaten her. As a result, Williams was also charged with producing and possessing child pornography. 46 degrees at 7:17. When we come back, politics from Trenton like no one else can explain it. New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the inside edge. Areas of dense fog this morning and a few showers, then mostly cloudy later, highs about 60. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full Garden State forecast. And we're taking your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:18, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. Just looking down at the phones to see if we got a call. We do have some areas of dense fog this morning, a few showers, then mostly cloudy later, highs about 60. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Now, it is the first day of spring, and yesterday we had some 70-degree warmth across portions of New Jersey. It was lovely. That has fired up some allergies of some, and the pollen report makes its return here to On New Jersey with a decent round of tree pollen hitting the high level. So if you're an allergy sufferer, you know that the tree pollen usually hits first in the season toward the end of February and early March, and here we are now with several rounds of warm days in the last few weeks. Tree pollen's rather high. Weeds, grasses, and molds, those are, dependent on the time of year. Typically, weeds happen a little later on in the season, grasses follow, and then, of course, molds, depending on the moisture in the air. Well, there's a lot of moisture around this morning with that fog, and that will lead to some fog along the coast. With that, a cooler breeze out of the east from Long Branch and Point Pleasant. Temperatures today much cooler throughout this afternoon. Once we get into the later part of the day toward Clinton, you see the rain chances there from Flemington and Princeton. That's the front that passes through that makes for a little bit of a cooler feel by day's end, and that'll also bring back, I think, some sunshine midday. warming us, but then cooling us right back down as that front pushes in. So a bit of a different scene as we take it into the afternoon. With that cooler breeze today, wind gusts aren't that terrible, but the forecast wind gusts really high, making for a big wind chill. Look at that cold air drive on down from the north and west. So by tomorrow morning, it will feel like 19 degrees in Sussex, 18 on the Green in Morristown, and 23 commuting into Penn Station in Newark. What a cold way to start off the second day of spring. And even going into Friday afternoon doesn't improve all that much. Saturday morning starts chilly too, with that wind then coming out of the south, but still temperatures feeling like they're right around freezing to start off our day on Saturday. Some cold stuff. With that, we have that rain that comes in tonight, lasts through the overnight hours, ends just before tomorrow morning at daybreak, and we could get up to an inch of rain where it's needed most. Remember, we'll show you the drought update again, where the worst of the drought is now in, or the rainfall deficit, I should say, is in northern New Jersey. So that short-term rain certainly helpful with up to an inch forecast later on tonight. The bigger picture has the clearing over the fog this morning. That's allowing that fog to linger quite dense. And here's that rain that comes in tonight. It's a front that will push on through, give us a steady shower after the evening rush into the overnight clearing by tomorrow. The Futurecast shows it nicely with the front arriving from the west, allowing for those temperatures to spike up to near 70 before the front pushes in. We get that rain through 8 or 9 o'clock tonight, and then it clears out by tomorrow morning. Back to sunshine, but a much colder and chilly and brisk feel that'll take us into tomorrow afternoon. Then the rest of the weekend looks very pleasant. Lots of sunshine on Sunday. Monday has another round of clouds, and I think going into the beginning of next week, it's going to feel slightly milder than average, but overall cool, as we'll hold in the 50s throughout most of next week. So some decent news ahead, even with this weekend having maybe a quick chance of a sprinkle with partly sunny skies. 61 on Saturday, but much cooler Sunday with that sunny weather. Nice sunny finish to the weekend and dry, decent weather to start off our first weekend in spring, Ken.
Oh, it sounds so nice. I had to, I saw the pastels in the closet. I said, we're pulling out the pastels today. Pink. I'm
Have to
thinking
do it
Easter
today.
already.
Yeah. Got a little
Absolutely,
tease
sir.
here in the collar.
That's the way to do it. All right, Mr. Favetta, thank you very much. We appreciate you. It is 46 degrees right now at 7:22, and we do have some traffic to talk about. In fact, Pam, if you don't mind bringing up that camera, this is again the same one from before. This is going into the GWB. We find out that the upper level has they're saying 30-minute delays, lower level 35. I think that looks like it's a little longer. I would bet you from my years at Channel 7, that's about a 45 to 50-minute delay. Sometimes the reporting is a little behind. So I would bet you, see, they're stopped. They're stopped. So to the right side of the screen, that's upper level. To the left side of the screen where it says mornings, that's lower level. So I would bet you that's probably 45 minutes easily, just to give you a heads up because of the area of dense patchy fog, definitely in the wet roadways. So give yourselves accordingly some extra travel time. We also have problems right now with a utility pole down and crash investigation. This is on Route 130 southbound, south of Browning Road in Camden. The right lane is still closed. Use caution through there. Utility pole down also Route 70 eastbound, east of the Turnpike in Cherry Hill. 2 right lanes are closed. And we have that mess. In fact, if we could bring up, if you have video, Pam, of 80, we have, that's the mess there. I-80 is closed both directions, not just eastbound. East and west through exit 34 in Wharton. And that is because we had another sinkhole open up yesterday afternoon. That caused a nightmare of traffic. So that's I-80 through Wharton, just a nightmare. Avoid the area if you can altogether, but just know that the local roads are just going to be a mess today. All right. Thank you, Pam, for that. It is 46 degrees, 7:24, and time now for politics from Trenton, explained like nobody else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with our Inside Edge.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Inside Edge. It's Thursday, March 20th. New Jersey has 564 municipalities. The smallest one is Walpack in Sussex County. The last U.S. Census put the population at 7. And Walpack has become a ghost town over the last 7 decades. In 1955, the U.S. government came up with a plan to ease flooding on the Delaware River. They were going to build the Tox Island Dam and a man-made 40-mile long, 1 mile wide lake that would have completely engulfed Walpack. Using eminent domain, the government claimed about 70,000 acres in the area, including all of Walpack. Their population dropped from 384 to 150 between 1970 and 1980. It went down to 67 in 1990, 41 in 2016 and 2010. And despite taking the homes of Walpack residents, the government wound up abandoning the project completely. Most of the houses in Walpack are owned by the government, and they are completely uninhabitable. But there are some advantages to living there. The average property tax bill is about $450 a year. It might be the lowest in the state. There is zero municipal property taxes, just what they collect to send some kids to a school in a neighboring town and what they collect for Sussex County. They appear to have a shared service agreement that might be a model for the entire state. And I want to tell you a story about the mayor of Walpack, Vincent Maglio. A couple of years ago, there was a leaky roof at Township Hall. So the mayor went to Home Depot. He bought some roof shingles, and he bought some nails and whatever other roofing supplies he needed. This is not my area of expertise. Drove back to Town Hall, took his ladder, went up on the roof, and he fixed the leak. And he did it at a cost to the taxpayers of about $80. No red tape, no bureaucracy, just a dry Township Hall. And I once asked Mayor Maglio why, with a record of delivering a zero property tax budget and a Bryant Stack way of getting things done, why doesn't he run for governor? And Mayor Maglio just laughed at me. So it's unclear what the future of Walpack will be. Power Quarry Township was right next door, also a casualty of the Tox Island Dam project. It dissolved in 1997 after its population dropped to 6. So while we wait and see if this very charming town on the Delaware River that got completely and totally screwed over by the U.S. government, we wait and see if it survives. Don't forget to visit the really nice Walpack Inn for a great steak dinner. That's all I have for today, and hopefully you will come back tomorrow to listen to more.
Only David Wilson could take you from like the biggest of politics in Trenton to a great steak dinner. He somehow does that in a couple of minutes. I got a little schmutz on my jacket. I don't know how he does it. All right. Thank you, David. Appreciate it. 728. Swedish AI startup company, or a Swedish AI startup company, has created a robot dog named Luna. What's the big deal? Well, Luna has get this, a functional digital nervous system. You heard me right. Capable of learning and adapting just like the human brain and many animals. In fact, better than many animals. The company is called Intuicell. It says it is one of the first use cases of physical agentic AI, which can make decisions and take actions toward specific goals rather than just perform narrow tasks or generate content. So in other words, it learns, it looks, it thinks, and it makes decisions. Oh no, they're not going to take over the world and kill us. No, robots aren't going to do that. This robot dog would be able to learn better than a real dog. Intuicell will hire a dog trainer next for real, instead of integrating a generative AI model and vast data sets to teach Luna to walk and perform other tasks. So in other words, someone's not going to program it. They literally now have this thing functioning, and the trainer, a real life dog trainer, is going to just talk to it like it's a living dog and teach it. Creepy. 729, spring breakers are being warned about a fast-spreading disease that could be life-threatening. In an emergency notice, the CDC raised the alarm over dengue fever. saying that North America is seeing high transmission rates with nearly 1,000 cases reported in 21 states already this year. A record number of infected travelers, nearly 4,000, returned to the U.S. in 2024. And just as the spring travel season kicks off, today's the first day of spring, popular destinations like the U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and Mexico are experiencing high transmission of the illness, with Mexico recording 20,000 cases already this year, meaning springtime, you get on a plane, your kid gets on the plane for spring break, goes to Mexico, Puerto Rico, etc. That's where dengue fever is very high, so they could bring it back. Oh, just great. Same thing with the mosquitoes. If they fly on the plane and they come to the mainland, that's not a good thing. 7:30 coming up ahead, how students at Kane University are helping to make self-driving cars safer. Also, the phone lines are open. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. And when we come back, meteorologist Mike Favetta says some areas of dense fog this morning, a few showers, then mostly cloudy later, highs about 60. The full Garden State forecast in a moment. You're watching ONNJ Mornings, seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X, and now streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/OnNJ. We're coming right back. Hey, buongiorno. Good morning. It is March the 20th. Wow, the first day of spring. It is balmy, 46 degrees. It feels balmy compared to the way it had been in the last month. It is a Thursday, and that's where we're going to leave it. I'm Ken Rosato, and welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. Mike has been talking about some areas of dense fog this morning. We're seeing it on all the traffic cameras around the area too, some showers in some areas, but it's spotty. You could be driving in some areas perfectly clear, then you hit these patches of dense fog, so just be aware of that. Later on in the day, it'll be mostly cloudy, highs about 60, and here is meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast. So Mike, it all depends on where you are, right?
Exactly. At the coast, you'll have zero visibility. But if you head a little further inland, maybe up to 1 mile visibility. But it is that fog influenced by those cool marine breezes off of the ocean that's not only allowing for a very chilly start to the day, it's keeping the fog around for most of the afternoon at the coast. We'll see some clearing inland, helping our first day of spring warm up into the low 70s away from the coast. But it'll still feel like it's in the 40s and maybe get to 50 along the coast today. Throughout this evening, as the front pushes in from the west, the rain comes in. Could be up to an inch that falls across sections of northern New Jersey. Some good news to help that rainfall deficit as we head into what is typically a pretty dry period of the year. And then with that colder and windy forecast for tomorrow, it's like a throwback to winter as all the chilly weather returns. Notice today with the cooler breezes along the ocean, there toward Atlantic City, Ocean City, and right down toward Avalon, there's that easterly breeze that keeps it much cooler at the coast, also keeps the fog around for the better part of the day. However, you head well west of the Parkway over in towards, say, or is south of Philly by Camden and down by Glassboro, and you could be flirting with 70 today under mostly sunny skies once that fog lifts, because the sun does a really good job of helping to mix out that fog and bring back some breaks of sun as soon as later on this afternoon. The rain chances you see are actually the rain of the front that comes in tonight and pushes in some very wet weather into the overnight. That's well after sunset, which happens after 7:09, and that sunrise happening earlier and earlier now, our last sunrise after 7 a.m. until the fall. So with a nice dry start to the day, again, feeling damp, but the cloud cover is clear. That's also what helps that fog linger, because even though the low cloud cover, which doesn't show up on the visible satellite picture, is here, or the infrared satellite picture rather, that allows for that fog to kind of hold very low to the ground and make for a pretty low visibility scene around this morning. With the rain that comes in tonight and lingers into early tomorrow morning, it'll be gone by daybreak, so we're back to sunshine. There's a small chance of a sprinkle with a passing shower in northern New Jersey on Saturday, but the next big opportunity for rain comes on Monday. And that wet weather will likely give us rain throughout most of the day, in fact, as the rain chances are pretty high on Monday. Air quality is good today. We're holding right around that 50 mark, and with that easterly breeze pulling in some of the refreshing or cleaner air, we should be doing just fine. Now, with the future cast showing the front pushing in tonight, there's the line of showers and storms that exits by tomorrow, so we're left with sunshine but cooler, gusty breezes throughout tomorrow afternoon. Another weak front dissipates as it moves overhead, which is why there's likely going to be just partly cloudy conditions, probably sunny, we'll say, with a chance of a sprinkle in northern New Jersey on Saturday. And then Sunday is dry, but our next round of wet weather could come in for Monday, and that's that next front you see there. And these are very fast-moving systems, so they don't linger for very long, kind of clearing the way for a very pretty start to the middle of next week. So fog throughout the day today, clearing with places inland with the sunshine likely reaching 70 degrees. Drier tomorrow with those northwest gusty breezes. It won't feel like 53 until later on the day. It's going to be rather chilly early on. Same on Saturday morning, chilly to start, but milder finish with a chance of a sprinkle. Sunday is dry, but sunny and cooler. And there's our rain for Monday. Next week holds in the low 50s, which is kind of average for the end of March. Even at the shore points where that easterly breeze is today, it's just a light, steady drizzle all throughout the afternoon at the shore with that fog and mist. With tomorrow clearing out, we have back to sunshine, but back to a colder, drier feel. The weekend points to mostly sunny skies both days, less of a chance of a shower on Saturday, and temperatures hold in the 50s, clear through next week with that rainy day on Monday. So beyond today's little bit of fog and mist and drizzle, the shore point's looking pretty good for this upcoming weekend. It's going to, I think, feature enough sun to get people out, get people excited that the spring season is upon us and summer is right around the corner, Ken.
I love it. We're like 2 hours into spring. We're already talking summertime. I love the way Mike Favetta thinks because I think the same way, pal. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate you. It is now 46 degrees and the time is 7:37. Let's take a look into the GWB. It's really heavy, and you can see this right now. They're again reporting about 35-minute delays going in and across the GWB into Manhattan. That looks to me closer from my years of looking at that and where that is in Ridgefield Park. That tells me it's probably more like 45 minutes. It is what it is. It's just we have the areas of patchy dense fog that Mike was talking about, the damp roadways and just volume on a Thursday morning. We've been noticing Mondays and Fridays that it's much lighter going into the city. For some reason, I guess people are taking long weekends, but Mondays and Fridays are lighter, but Thursday, that's what it is. You have that dense fog as well and the heavy traffic going into the city. We could bring up, this is on the Garden State Parkway now, south of the Essex Toll Plaza, and this is in Bloomfield. Again, you're dealing with rain on the right side. This is going into the Toll Plaza in Bloomfield. That's a pretty heavy area because just beyond that is the Route 3 interchange, so a lot of traffic to deal with there as well. Pardon me. Crash investigation and a utility pulled down on Route 130 southbound on Browning Road in Camden. The right lane is closed. Use caution through there. And we also have a utility pulled down on Route 70 eastbound, east of the Turnpike in Cherry Hill Township, 2 right lanes closed. And if we could bring up the Wharton cam when you can on I-80, we now have that emergency sinkhole repair. Look at that mess. So everyone is now being detoured off of I-80 in both directions at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton because of another sinkhole that opened up while contractors were working on the highway. They were boring holes all over that area to make sure the voids were filled or that there were no voids at all. And one of them collapsed with the workers there. Thankfully, nobody got seriously hurt. But the result is now they have closed I-80 east and west in the Wharton area, exit 34. That will be months of repairs. It is now 46 degrees at 7:39. Dominick Mariconda is a certified physician's assistant who works as a system director at Hartford Healthcare Heart and Vascular Institute, and he spent many years assisting in open heart surgery, had his hands in people's chests. Yep. He joins us this morning with tips on how to stay heart healthy so you can avoid that situation. Good morning, PA Dominick. Good to have you with us.
Good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's always good to. Dominic and I know each other. Listen, we're making it formal. We only know each other since kindergarten. That's all. So
That's
that's it.
right.
But thank you for coming on. So let's start with the basics. What is a heart attack?
Well, Ken, a heart attack or a myocardial infarction occurs when blood flow to the heart muscle is suddenly blocked. And this is most often due to buildup of a plaque. And over time, that plaque can rupture. And the result is a formation of a blood clot. And so this blood clot then could either completely or partially obstruct blood flow to the myocardium or the heart muscle, and then that muscle over time will die. And so that's really what we want to avoid. I'm really glad that we're talking about this because heart attacks are a major health concern, Ken. But the good news is that many can be prevented. But the key is education and awareness, understanding the warning signs, taking preventative measures, and really knowing when to seek medical care.
So, if I could just jump in, because I know, like, I'm thinking somebody's at a party, they're stressed out, they have too much to drink, they have too much to eat, and they suddenly feel something in their chest. And I know that a lot of people think, I'll just go home and rest, no big deal. But because they think, who wants to go to the emergency room? The worst thing they could possibly do, right? If you're feeling a symptom,
Absolutely.
act on it.
Exactly. That's really important. The symptoms can vary from person to person, but there are some common warning signs. And so chest pain or discomfort, which is really a sensation of pressure, squeezing, fullness, pain under the center of your chest, under the sternum, or sometimes to the left side of the chest. It usually lasts several minutes or it can come and go. That's a kind of classic, chest pain symptom. But there can also be discomfort in other parts, like it can radiate to your arm, the jaw, your neck, or even your stomach. And then there's shortness of breath that can occur with or without chest pain. And then the other symptoms are nausea, lightheadedness, cold sweats, fatigue, and just a general sense of unease. So those are the important symptoms to really look out for.
Now, women have different symptoms, or sometimes are even asymptomatic, right? That's the thing. Women and men have totally different symptoms. Talk about what women will experience.
Well, again, patients are going to experience things different. It's person to person. Women can experience chest pain, but they can also often experience abdominal pain. They can have more nausea, vomiting, just a general feeling of significant fatigue. So we typically call that like an atypical presentation. Diabetics also can present without having any pain. So folks really have to be careful. You have to know your body. You have to know when you're not feeling well, and really don't hesitate to reach out. And better to be safe than sorry.
I think that's the key, really. And people just feel, I'm tired, I'll just go home. No. If you're feeling a symptom, just get it checked out, right? It's just because you might be surprised. And now, in an era when you have smartwatches that can detect issues with your heart, there's no excuse. I mean, you could buy one of the Cardia devices. I have a fib, you know that. You're my friend, you know that. And I carry this Cardia device. You could buy one for $79 for the 1 lead or 3 lead, and then they have a 6 lead one. It's like $179 for people like me who have a fib. And you really need to carry those and just check yourself. You could check in 2 seconds, send the results to your cardiologist and let them determine. So this way you don't have to schlep. You don't want to schlep to the ER, right? So now, what are the biggest risk factors or the contributors to heart attacks and the best ways to prevent one, Dom?
Right. So we break risk factors up into modifiable and non-modifiable risk factors. The non-modifiable risk factors are things that unfortunately we can't change. Your age, for example, if you're a man and you're over 45, you're considered at higher risk. For women, that's 55. Family history of heart disease and the genetic predisposition to heart disease. But the modifiable risk factors, these are lifestyle related and can be managed through healthier choices. So they include high blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking, diabetes, obesity, just the lack of exercise, poor diet, and chronic stress. Those are things that we can all fix and to try to mitigate the risk. But I would say that if I can deliver one important message to everyone, it's to act fast, because time is muscle, and the sooner you get help, the better chances of survival and reducing damage to your heart. So here's really what you should do. You should call 911 immediately. Don't try to drive yourself to the hospital. Emergency responders can start treatment on the way and ensure that you get to the right facility. And that's really key, because if you're having a heart attack, you want to go to a hospital that we call PCI ready, meaning that they can do a procedure called percutaneous coronary intervention. And, most people don't know, you might not know what hospital has that capability, but EMS providers do, and they will take you directly to the right location. That's very, very important.
So it may not be your
hospital.
community hospital. Yeah, it may not be your community hospital. You may have to go a little further out, but you're better off getting your heart taken care of, because, as you said, time is muscle, and the longer you go with your heart being deprived, the more you will have irreparable damage to your heart, and you only got one. All right. We only, because we're out of time, I had to step in. Certified PA Dominick Mariconda, System Director at Hartford Healthcare Heart and Vascular Institute, spent years standing over people's open chests with surgical procedures. Hopefully we get people not in that situation. Thank you so much for being with us, my friend, this morning. Always great to see you.
Thanks, Ken. Glad to be here.
You bet, pal. It is now 7:46, and we go from one interview to another. There is growing concern for New Jersey residents, and that is fraud. In 2024, AARP's Fraud Watch Network received over 350 calls from New Jerseyans who lost an average of $38,000 each to increasingly clever and relentless scams. To help combat this rising threat, AARP New Jersey is stepping up with a special summit at NJIT April 7th, aimed at arming Garden State residents with the tools to protect themselves. Joining us now is Chris Widelo, AARP New Jersey State Director. Chris, good morning to you. Good to have you on today.
Well, good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me. Happy spring.
Happy spring to you. Just a few hours old. It still has that fresh spring smell, doesn't it?
It does.
Let's start with the numbers. I'm an AARP member too. Let's start with the numbers. Over 350 calls and an average loss of $38,000 per victim. That's astounding. What's driving the surge in scams in New Jersey?
Yeah, Ken, and thank you for being a member. It's alarming because the average age of those folks who were victims is 72 years old. So it's really, they are targeting older adults, and they're more susceptible usually to, crimes like fraud. But it comes in many different ways. We're seeing it with identity theft, imposter calls, right? That call that says, "Hey, you didn't pay your tolls, you owe something, or you need to send money." And then also computer viruses, which has been around for a while, but people still get very concerned when they see something pop up that they need to send money or do something in order to prevent their computer from crashing. So there's a whole array of different schemes that these fraudsters are using and committing this crime.
It's unreal. I mean, I'm not the most computer savvy guy in the world, but every single day I'll get an email that says, it'll look exactly like the logo of a company that I deal with. And it'll say, click. The second I see click here, I know immediately it's a fraud, right? So what I'll do is I do the old hover over to see what the return address is without clicking, and you'll see it's like a Gmail account. You know that it's not going to be a Gmail account if it's General Electric. They're not going to have GE, I'm the guy at gmail.com. That is not going to be an official account. But if you don't do that, if you don't carefully hover without clicking, you'll think, oh, it's real. The logo looks real. And the other thing, I don't know about you, I always look to see there's always a typo. because it's always somebody in a third world country who probably English is their fourth language. I'm stereotyping here, but you'll always find a typo somewhere, or the spacing of the words that, you know, there's no space or something where they missed it. And that's usually how I see it. But, you know, if you're not paying attention, how many people have gotten scammed like that? And these are getting more creative, right? So give us an example of some of the tactics that they're now using that might catch people off guard.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned many people are getting scammed. 42% of adults, according to a recent survey of ours, are victims of scams. That's 141 million people, and it's just because these scams have become more sophisticated. And you just laid out beautifully, you know, the steps that you take to protect yourself, hovering over, making sure, does that email address look right? You know, does the content of the email look correct? And should I be receiving this is really the first question. Why am I receiving this? Why would there be a concern about this or whatever the issue is that they're raising? And really, you cannot trust anything that's being pushed out to you. If you are worried that you have unpaid tolls, there's something wrong with your credit card, you need to call the bank, you really have to be proactive. Go find the number, go to their website, find the number of that institution that you are doing business with and call them proactively. Things that are being pushed to us through text, I think we're just being bombarded. Text, email, phone calls. You can't trust it. And it's not that, some of these scams, these crimes are sophisticated. Others are just preying on our sense of wanting to do the right thing, our fears, and it creates this ether that people become under, that they are just wanting to make sure they're doing the right thing, they're not committing a crime. You even have things like romance scams where people build a relationship with someone online with no intention of ever meeting them in person, and can fraud them of millions of dollars, right, or thousands of dollars per person, but it adds up very quickly. We're talking $1 billion industry here.
Hey, Chris, I once got an email alert from what appeared to be McAfee, because I have them as my antivirus, and it said that we've detected a virus, whatever, and it said contact us. I'm thinking, oh, that's got to be safe. It gave the phone number. And guess what? The phone number was the McAfee phone number, but it was off by 2 digits. And I actually fell for that, and I called. It was an 800 or an 888 number, whatever. I called it, and I got somebody who had a different accent, and the individual took me through. He's like, "Well, log on, give me access to your computer." Right there, I was a little suspicious, but I've dealt with that with McAfee in the past, where they get access to the computer, and they were explaining in detail the virus I had, etc. As it turns out, whether he was nefarious or not, this was a private computer analyst who, once they get into your system, they tell you, "Oh, you have this virus, you got to pay me in order to," that's how luckily I cut him off. I actually got to the point of giving him access to the computer. He actually had the McAfee logo and everything. I hung up, disconnected him, called McAfee, and they said they've been getting this. So that's elaborate, where they had the logo, they knew I was a customer, they got access to the computer. It looked just like McAfee, and the 800 number was only off by 2 digits. I mean, it's that close. So the real McAfee had to do a scan to make sure that nothing was implanted on my computer, and luckily nothing was. But this guy was trying to make it sound like I needed to pay him money for this, and I thought, no, I already subscribed. Why am I going to pay you money? And that's when it taught. So this is how elaborate it gets. And I'm not 92 years old, and yet I was falling victim until the point when he said, "You owe me money." So with so many people falling victim, what is the immediate step that the viewers can take to protect themselves from fraudsters?
Yeah, and I think that's what people have the greatest concern about. What do I do now? I think the first basic thing is to call your local police department and file a police report. Sometimes police departments will say, "Oh, don't bother," or "This isn't worth it," but insist that you file a police report, because if this fraud is somehow, caught up to and they are going to prosecute, you at least have a police report if there's an opportunity to get any money back or any restitution. The other piece is we have something called the Fraud Watch Network. We launched this over a decade ago, and it is a resource for not just AARP members, anyone who has been a victim of fraud, to call and find out what are the next steps you should take. So these are trained experts that can guide you either by phone, or you can check out the website about what your next steps are and what actions you should be taking. And also, you're a victim of crime if you have been a victim of fraud, and they can provide some consultation about, really making you feel that, that you're not alone. And I think that's it. Like, people are embarrassed when they fall victim of fraud. Yet if they were mugged on the street, there would not be that same feeling, right? But somehow we treat it because we should have known better. Well, that's not the case. As you mentioned, these scams are elaborate. They're very detailed and they put a lot of effort into them. But this crime often has, people don't want to talk about it. So we need to, we have some low-level counseling that you can take part in, to just know that you're not alone and what your next steps are and how you can hopefully move forward and, if possible, get your, and if you've been a victim, to get some restitution, should they be able to catch them. But, I think, again, it's the vigilance that we must have now to protect ourselves is very high. And so the more you can do to talk to loved ones, older loved ones, younger loved ones, and really just not trust information that's being pushed to us through mail, phone, text, it's really important that you seek it out and you only have your trusted list of of people that you are expecting to hear from. And also just making sure that you are, you said you have McAfee, that you have, the right supports in place to help protect yourself. And if you're using public Wi-Fi, to think about a VPN to protect yourself from attacks that can happen online. But really it's vigilance, and we're bombarded with it every day, as you mentioned.
Yeah. Chris, and if I may just throw in this thing, because I've heard these friends of my mother, literally this is still happening, and it's amazing that it is. No legitimate organization, no government entity, no company, no legitimate corporation will ever ask you or tell you to go out and buy gift cards. And I know for you and me would say, oh, come on. There are people who would say, well, why wouldn't they? No legitimate organization has any legitimate reason to tell you to go out and buy Visa, MasterCard, or store gift cards to pay for anything ever, correct? So if they ever get that call, click, ciao, bye-bye, scream if you want, and then hang up. It's not legit, ever. Even if they tell you they're at the IRS, or if they tell you they have your kid kidnapped in Russia, it's fake. Hang up on them. So the fact that I still know of people directly, it's not anecdotal. I know directly of 2 individuals who got the scam, and it's just crazy because they get scared. And because we're running out of time here, I want to make sure we talk about the summit April 7th at NJIT. What can the attendees expect to learn? Why should everybody mark their calendars for the event, no matter what their age?
Yes, we're excited to be partnering with NJIT for this summit in Newark on April 7th from 11 to 2. You're going to hear from experts that are going to talk about fraud, what's happening, what the latest things are that you need to worry about, what to do if you think that you've been a victim of fraud, and how to prepare yourself, right? The thing you just mentioned about gift cards. It seems like, yeah, no, why would I ever pay with a gift card? Yet people are a victim of that because there's something else that drives them to say, no, I need to do this, right? And cryptocurrency is now becoming a thing with, people saying, oh, you buy crypto and send the crypto here. It's untraceable. And that's the whole idea, that they don't want to be able to trace the money back to whoever is committing the fraud. So this event on April 7th will really teach you how to protect yourself, loved ones from scams. It's a free event. It's open to the public. You don't have to be an AARP member. And I think we're going to have a packed house because this is always information that people want to hear.
Yeah, it's great advice. And it's, AARP has so many resources. Just take advantage of the resources. I mean, literally, I'll be flying in 4 hours. I have a flight, and I booked my rent-a-car with my AARP discount. Not kidding. I got my discount with, I guess, Avis today. thanks to
Wonderful.
AARP. I've been a member for a few years. I'm 57. So at 55, that was my turning point was, I'm going to join AARP. The greatest value ever. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for
Well, thank
being
you.
there. And that's great that you're having that summit. I hope it is packed, like you said, fingers crossed. Chris Widelo, please come back again. Wonderful advice. Chris Widelo, AARP New Jersey State Director. Thank you for joining us and thanks for doing what you do.
You.
You bet. It is now 47 degrees at 7:59. Some areas of dense fog this morning, especially near the coast, and a few showers, then mostly cloudy later, highs around 60. Could be warmer if the sun burns off the fog later near the coast, but for the most part, 60 if it stays overcast. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with a full Garden State forecast. And New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein, he will be back a little later in the hour with another edition of the Inside Edge. Taking your calls too at 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. One Thursday, March 20th, 2025, the first day of spring. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. Some areas of dense fog this morning, a few showers, mostly cloudy later, highs around 60. We head straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta. He has another check of the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mr. Dense Fog on the first day of spring.
A lot of dense fog, a lot of red behind me. That means a quarter-mile visibility or less across most of the state, specifically at the coast. So where you see that shade of red, yeah, could be dense fog in your vicinity. Some of these weather stations reporting zero visibility over along the immediate shoreline, like toward Long Branch and over on LBI. A little further inland there toward Lakewood, where the Toms River weather station is located. 1 mile visibility for you, 1 mile at the Atlantic City Airport, 1 mile visibility in Newark, and back over toward Morristown. So very isolated, not only at the coast, but also inland, like kind of back along that the mountain range there, well, the hills, if you will, of northern New Jersey. Got a fun feature for you. I rarely show this, but we've got airport delays that we could show you right here in the New Jersey area. Newark Airport, minor delays at 8:02 this morning. Obviously, some isolated incidents maybe because of that fog down toward Atlantic City. I know Ken, he's got his flight in just a bit. We tend to see that fog linger. Sometimes the delays could stack because air traffic controllers need to put a little bit more distance in between some of those planes. Now, with the weather today starting off nice and foggy north and west, it turns clear by day's end. Lots of sunshine helping us warm up into the mid-60s, and then the rain comes in by this evening. But if you find yourself along the coast, even along the waterfront, there in Jersey City, 55 and foggy for you. Same in Newark, 58 degrees cooler along the coast, and that fog lingers through the rest of the afternoon along the immediate shoreline. With the drought improving, thanks to all of that rain we've seen, we're just a little moderate drought for northern New Jersey, but the severe and extreme drought continues for central and southern New Jersey, even though we've seen just enough rainfall to help bring some of the averages above average in the last 30 days in southern New Jersey. We're still running pretty dry up in the northern portion of the state. The good news is I think we make up for that rain just tonight with the amount of rainfall that's coming. We're not going to get up to 2 inches, which is the rainfall deficit there in northern New Jersey up by Sussex County, that little circle of red, but there will be a good soaking of rain that comes in, helping to make up for the difference. With the cooler weather expected for the rest of the month, slightly below average weather. Look at this large area of above average temperatures, looking great for the rest of the country by the end of the month. And then we likely see a little bit of a less of a chance of rain as we head into the end of March. 7-day forecast has plenty of cloud cover today with a little bit of sunshine breaking out in between the fog. It looks very pleasant inland, but of course at the coast you remain quite foggy. Tomorrow, after the rain parts, we're back to sunshine. It'll be cooler, it'll be gusty and breezy, and with a high of 61 on Saturday, a pretty way to start off next week. Sunday looks to be nice and dry, but it's Monday's rain that sets the stage for a little bit of a cooler pattern next week. I don't think we'll get into the 70s like we enjoyed this week. Next week is looking overall a bit cooler as that drier pattern sets up, but also a slightly cooler one. Here's the mist and drizzle coming up for the shore points. It's just straight up fog for you, if not mist or drizzle today. Tomorrow, gusty with that wind out of the west, making it feel quite dry and breezy. And then the weekend is dry at the shore, cooler by Sunday. Monday has the rain, and then we hold in the low 50s throughout Tuesday and Wednesday. So Ken, looking very pleasant going into next week with overall a dry midweek, but not as warm as we've enjoyed.
I'm going to take that as the way you said it. Ken looking very pleasant. There we go. Thank you very much.
You bet.
I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. 47 degrees now at 8:05, and we do have we have a lot of traffic issues, actually, because of the dense, patchy fog that Mike was talking about. Let's take a look at the approach to the GWB right now. You got an hour delay getting into Manhattan, and you could see that is the upper level on the right, the lower level on the left of the screen. The trucks I see kind of going through a little faster than everybody else. Don't know why that's the case, but for the most part, you got an hour delay, upper and lower level getting into Manhattan on the GWB approach, about a 40-minute delay in the Lincoln Tunnel. We also have some delays because of the fog. Let's take a look at the Garden State Parkway. This is by exit 148 going into the Essex Toll Plaza in Bloomfield. And this is really volume, a combination of volume and the dense patchy fog again, and some wet roadways. So on the right side, the upper right corner there, that's the about a 4-mile stretch of cars traveling at about 15 miles an hour going into Bloomfield in that area. We have problems right now as well we have a lot of down poles, et cetera, down wires on Route 23, both directions, and that's in Pequannock Township on County Road 680. Crash on the GSP that we saw the GSP at exit 148 about 11 miles south in Kenilworth at exit 137. We have a crash northbound side. All lanes are open, but it's slow through there. We have a crash investigation, utility pulled down on Route 130, Browning Road in Camden. The right lane is closed. And we have a utility pulled down on Route 70, eastbound, east of the Turnpike, Cherry Hill Township, 2 right lanes closed. It is a mess. Also should mention parking-related issues at JFK. We know that there are going to be delays because of the fog that Mike was just telling us about. And of course, let's take a look at the I-80 cam. This is going through Wharton on, wow, what a mess. This is about 4 to 5 miles of delays in both directions. I-80 east and westbound exit 34, which is Route 15 in Wharton. Another sinkhole opened up. And that is going to be months of repairs before this is the east-west connector between the East Coast and the West Coast. And that right there is shut down in New Jersey. An absolute mess you have. And that's going to be a couple of months at least. All right, it is 8:08 right now, 47 degrees. My friend Dave Bondy is a journalist who spent years in mainstream media like me. He was a TV news anchor, a reporter. He saw how one-sided the industry had become, like me, and he decided to strike out on his own, become an independent journalist. His podcast called Keeping It Real with Dave Bondy can be seen on YouTube, Substack, Spotify, and social media like TikTok, Facebook, and X. And he writes a newsletter that you could subscribe to. It's free, by the way. Dave Bondy, welcome to ONNJ Mornings, my friend. Good to have you on.
It is great to see you, and I'm here in Michigan where we do not have the traffic issues anywhere that you do. Here where I am in northern Michigan, mid-Michigan, we may have some cows in the road, but nothing like you have there.
Well, sometimes cows fart, and that can cause problems unto themselves. So there's a whole other issue. But here, I have one complaint already off the bat, that you have a cooler looking set than I do, and that's not allowed. Look at how cool this guy's set is, everybody. You got the most odd keeping it real set.
Thank you. I like yours though. It's very nice. Yeah, but my wife worked on this for me. She's great with the style and the colors and everything. So yeah, I got the Statue of Liberty back there and the flag. Working on it. Even my 7-year-old has a little something back there. Yeah.
Katie's got it down. You listen to Katie because she knows her style. All right. Well, listen, you've seen the JFK files, and I mean, or some of them, because it's tens of thousands of pages. Does anything so far stand out to you that should be out of the ordinary, that we should be paying attention to with the JFK file?
Well, it was interesting because within hours of them coming out, I think the National Archives put out a statement saying that Oswald acted alone. But looking at everything, the theme of it seems to be that the CIA was not on the up and up. Something was going on with the CIA. I know there was one document that was saying there was an insider with the CIA who had called out the CIA, and that he ended up dead months later from a suicide, they say. So nothing, I don't think that they wanted solid answers. And so far I haven't seen that, but it leads to more questions. And I think most of what I've read, at least, or looked at other researchers, just pointing at the CIA, but nothing solid yet. And there's still, I believe, thousands of pages that have not been released. I believe they need to digitize them and upload them. So hopefully that they will be released and we'll learn something, but just very interesting. But the CIA credibility coming into more question, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, if there was ever any doubt that the CIA acted on its own, doing some nefarious things, whatever they deemed would be necessary. I think what we're discovering here is, like, it feels like the CIA thinks they know best, and that we're just a bunch of idiots and just do what we tell you and we'll figure it out. That is not the way it works in a democratic republic. We don't do things that way. And I think that's being uncovered. And this is probably why these files have been kept quiet and locked up for decades. And, now I think they're being released, President Trump releasing them, because most of those people, if not all of them, are dead. So, the current CIA goes, oh, that's them, not us. But nonetheless, we should be very suspicious of the so-called the intelligence community, because they all seem to know better. That's the theme, I think, if there's a takeaway there. Let's talk also, if we could, about sanctuary cities. Now, they're in most of the blue Democrat-controlled states. They've cost the country tens of billions of dollars, welcoming people to stream across the border illegally in violation of federal law. And it's one thing to deal with already having illegal aliens in your city, but it's entirely another to put out the welcome wagon and entice them to come, which is what the Biden administration did for 4 years. The Trump administration, of course, has threatened to arrest anybody who interferes in federal deportation procedures, but many of the sanctuary localities are fighting back. Now, you're in Michigan. What's the latest going on there with sanctuary cities?
Yeah, we have one situation in Bay City, Michigan. It's a town about 90 miles north of Detroit. And the commission there approved a resolution, and they're calling it, they are a welcoming community. So they're not calling it sanctuary cities. They're calling them fancy names that they come up with, and it's welcoming community. And the commission voted yes, that they would not help federal law enforcement, and that they would make immigrants, anyone, feel welcome in their community. But late last night, the mayor vetoed it, because in this community, it's set up, their charter, the mayor can veto it. So there's a lot of controversy in this town, but that's not the only one. We're seeing that in Lansing, areas near Detroit, and other things are happening. For example, I just posted it on my Substack, or I'm about to actually this morning. Michigan State University, they're doing things. They had the Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. They changed the name to Diversity, Community, and Engagement or something. So it's interesting to see how governments and schools are trying to get around this. The mayor in Bay City, Michigan said he is not about to risk any federal funding, even if there's a chance a court could, overrule Trump. He does not want to risk federal funding in order to do this. So we're dealing with it in Michigan. I don't know about New York, what you're dealing with, but it's starting to pop up in cities throughout the state.
Yeah, we have throughout, literally from New Jersey all the way up through New England. They're all sanctuary states. And it's
Wow.
like we're living in the communist state of the Northeast. Might as well just call it one state. That's what it feels like. I feel like I'm in the bunker of conservatism, surrounded by the commies, the pinkos. The minute you walk outside, you see pink everywhere. Although I will say here, go ahead.
I want to interrupt, but Michigan went from Michigan. Trump won Michigan. That's the thing.
Yes,
Trump won Michigan. So the big
and
thing
Trump won
is
pockets of the state.
New Jersey.
Yep.
Okay. So the thing is, lawmakers and people in Michigan they're thinking, if they continue to go this hard, is Michigan going to turn even more red, either with local lawmakers or local mayors, city council, or the state lawmakers? Michigan also, the House went Republican, and the state Senate is only Democrat by one vote. So are they making a big mistake by digging in deeper to this? Are they going to lose what they have left? Possibility.
I think that, one of the things that President Trump only put out on his Truth Social one time, and I can't find it, and I wish I could. When he was running, he said that in order to change the mentality of college campuses, that he would appoint somebody who would be in charge of the accreditation. Because remember, an unaccredited college is useless. No one's going to spend $100,000 a year to go to a college, and the degree is just to put on the wall and look nice. Because that would mean that if Harvard, let's just say Harvard lost its accreditation, that would mean you go to Harvard Medical School, you graduate with a medical degree, you can't do anything with it, because without an accredited college, no state will give you authorization to practice medicine. So you need to have gone to an accredited college. So the this is Trump. He thinks outside the box. His idea was he would appoint somebody in charge of the accrediting committees that would remove the accreditation from all the universities that do not comply with removing DEI. And they had to also teach courses on the Constitution and civics like years ago. And that is to get rid of the commies at the colleges, because that's what happens. Parents think they're doing something good. Oh, we're sending my kid to an Ivy League school. I'm working 3 jobs and I took a second mortgage on the house to put my kid through Columbia University. The kid goes in and comes out propagandized and brainwashed. And this is the problem. This is why this is happening.
Yeah, and I was I was the main anchor, as you were at your television station. I was a hiring manager, and I would see, I call them kids, but 19, 20, 21 years old, graduating from universities in Michigan. We tried to hire many of them, and I was shocked at what was coming out of the university level, whether it be Michigan State, Michigan, Notre Dame, even some great broadcasting schools. Totally different from when I was younger, or my makeup. I remember once we interviewed someone to be a producer, a digital producer, and they told me they would not write stories about Trump. So I was just like shocked as what is going on at universities. There's great professors, there's great students, but I saw more and more over the last 4 or 5 years, people literally coming out of school saying, I will not cover Trump. I will not do this. And I'm like, what is going on?
Right. I remember when I worked for Channel 7 here at ABC and Channel 5, Fox 5, I used to go speak at schools, Dave. And the one thing I used to tell people is I would start out by defining the word journalist. The jour, Jour, means day. And listos in Greek means reporting on the day. Nowhere in that word is the word opinion. Nowhere in that word is the word personal theory. It's reporting on the day. And I always bring back the history of the first journalists were the town criers, the people who rang a bell in the middle of the town square, usually outside the church, because that was usually at the epicenter of the town, because communities sprang up around the churches. And they would call people, they would ring the bell and wait about 15 minutes till everybody gathered. And then they would read off parchment and they'd say, hear ye, here's what's going on. And they were the TV reporters of the day. And guess what? Opinion did not take part. There was no opinion. Your job is to simply report the facts simply whether you like them or not. So the idea of the reporters becoming activists because of these left-wing professors indoctrinating them is sickening. But that's where it's got to be dealt with, because otherwise it's like playing whack-a-mole. We could get them one at a time here and there and that, but the university professors will keep pumping them out like car washes pump out clean cars. We have got to stop it in the university.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's happening. I posted something yesterday on X and I put it on my Substack, something very simple that people didn't understand. I think it was a headline that said, shocking information that Elon Musk and Doge, they're going to force Social Security recipients to register in person or something. And I posted that the word shocking, and this was an AP story, I believe, that's right. An editorializing right
Absolutely.
there. People they didn't even know what I was saying, but I'm like, and it's not that I disagree or agree with the content or it's the fact that you're trying to tell people how to think. I learned my lesson from a news director. If we have time here, I read a story on the air about gas prices going down. And I said on the air as an anchor, I said, this is great news, but I got a complaint from someone that I was editorializing, and they were right. I was, because actually what's good news to me may not be good news to someone else. So as an anchor, as a journalist, your job, just tell people what's happening. Say the price of gas has gone down to $2.89 and leave it at that and let the people decide.
Right. Or you could go to the extreme on the other side and say, some people may think that's a good idea, and it could be because they'll save money. Other people will say, well, that means that the state gas taxes are not going to come in, and that's going to leave us with a budget hole. Doing it that way, at least you're presenting both sides. But just, you're right. You innocently said, oh, to me, it sounds like a great idea, but that person was right. And you learn. And that's something that I'm sure stays in your mind every time you write a story now. You think, well, there's got to be somebody who's going to disagree with it. So you have to just keep the editorializing out. And that's why when I read stories that quote President Trump and then they immediately say something that's entirely unfounded, who the hell are you to make that judgment call? How many things have mainstream media outlets, NBC and AP specifically, said something that has not been determined with a Trump statement, and then 2 years later we find it, like the Hunter Biden laptop, something that has been nothing. It's nothing more than a rumor. Bullshit. And I'm going to say it. We could say it on a streaming platform.
I love that.
You know, I want to. This is going to be my book, Dave. And I'm saying it here. You heard it first. I am going to pull up, every single story about Trump from 2015. And I'm going to bullet point and show what the mainstream media outlets reported and how it turned out to be they were false and Trump was right. And just have thousands of the examples where they said Trump, totally uncertified, totally a lie, and then show where they are wrong. And how many stories about Russiagate? How many outlets won Pulitzer Prizes on it? And Russiagate was phony. It was phony.
Yeah, if it's an opinion, label it as an opinion. That's fine. Have an opinion piece. But see, like, for example, CNN, they have opinions scattered throughout their 24-hour news cycle. I interned at CNN back in 1998. And back then it was a little more, their night content. It was all editorial, Larry King. Now they're intertwining editorial in everything, and they're not giving news anymore. They're having 4 or 5 people sit at a table to yell at each other all day. They're not, and you know this too, they don't have dozens of reporters. They're not giving news. They're just spouting their opinion all day. And that's why their ratings are going down, and they're not setting the narratives anymore like they used to.
Right. And it's cheaper to do it that way, which is why they have no more advertisers, no money, no ratings. And so this is just cheap. It's drivel. It's like giving people bags of potato chips and saying, here's a good nutritional breakfast. No, not so much. Dave, how do people find you online, sir?
I'd say the best way, I love Substack. A lot of people are moving towards it, and it's just Dave, Bondy. If you go to Google or your search engine, type my name in and Substack. It's a newsletter, and a lot of media publications, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, writers are leaving, going independent to go to that. I like it because they do not suppress free speech. They allow you to own your audience. So Dave Bondy, Substack, Matt Taibbi, the people who uncovered the Twitter files are on Substack. It's a great place to be. and you'll discover a lot of other great authors and writers as well.
Let's hope it stays free like
Yeah,
that
exactly.
forever. Let's keep our fingers crossed. All right,
Exactly.
independent journalist and my personal friend, Dave Bondy, host of Keeping It Real with Dave Bondy. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. Please make this a regular thing.
I would love to. Thank you.
All right, well, the invitation is out there, so I know you're a busy man, but we want you on as often as you can. Have a wonderful day, bud.
Thank you, sir.
All right. 24. We got to take a break right now. I'm sorry we went 9 minutes. Pam, our director's like, oh, you're me. All right, Pam, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll check back with meteorologist Mike Favetta and the Garden State forecast. Don't go away. Seven degrees now at 8:25. Good morning. It is the first day of spring, and welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with those patchy fog areas throughout New Jersey. He has the full Garden State forecast, and people still have to keep an eye out for the patchy fog.
Absolutely, and it's patchy dense fog that's causing some reduced visibility specifically at the coast. There's a lot of red on this map behind me, which shows the quarter-mile visibility or less here for most of the state, especially along the coast. Zero visibility over in Long Branch, zero visibility on LBI, Toms River, and Atlantic City, only 1 mile visibility. But again, those weather stations set back a few miles from the coast. Also inland there in the valley over by Morristown, by the Great Swamp behind the Watchung Mountain Range, you have that fog trapped in there, and that's due to the clearing that occurred with the clear sky overhead, allowing for that fog to develop. So anytime there's patchy dense fog, the Weather Service doesn't issue a dense fog advisory. It has to be more widespread, which technically it's not. What there is a gale warning along the coast for some very gusty winds that start tonight and go right through tomorrow evening, gusting up to 40 or 50 miles per hour. So pretty breezy after a calm start to the day. It is pretty cool across the state. Uniform temperatures, just 3 degrees separation between Ship Bottom and Sussex, opposite ends of the state, all due to that cool breeze coming in off of the Atlantic, basically matching that of the temperature of the Atlantic Ocean. So there's that light breeze, keeping the wind gusts rather light, but allowing for that fog to linger for the next several hours. It's also slightly milder in a few places as compared to this time yesterday. Look at the clouds that were around last night and then the clearing that occurred around 2, 3 in the morning, and all that clear sky high above the fog deck allows for that fog to linger. So that's why it'll be around for the better portion of today. And you can clearly see that in the futurecast. Throughout 9 and 10 o'clock, most of that fog lingers specifically at the shoreline. It's also a lot cooler there. By 3 o'clock today, it'll be 45 in Long Branch, 46 on LBI, and 46 down in Atlantic City. But 70s inland, 74 degrees in Camden at 3 o'clock this afternoon. That is a big difference, almost 30 degrees than just 50 miles to the east right along the coast. That's what an easterly breeze will do this time of year. With that sunshine giving way to more clouds by 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, look at the rain that comes in. These are our downpours that'll be around through the end of the evening rush, giving us some much needed rain statewide. We're still in a drought technically, as it's been very dry this fall and winter. And now with tomorrow morning turning chilly, we'll be in the 20s with a colder wind chill and that northwesterly breeze clearing out overnight. And then we stay sunny and dry tomorrow, but it'll still feel like a throwback to winter given how chilly that air is. Wind shift to blow in from the south and west for Saturday, maybe give us a quick passing sprinkle, but we'll call it partly sunny throughout the day as highs try to make it back to 60 by the end of the afternoon. Sunday is nice and sunny, but rain comes back on Monday with a few light showers around, and that rain could linger into the afternoon hours as well. So for the next few days, it'll feel like spring, maybe not so much tomorrow with the wind chill down in the 20s tomorrow morning, but definitely by Saturday with the 60s, and then lots of sun with calm breezes on Sunday, high of 51. We'll talk more about what to expect beyond that with the 7-day forecast, Ken. It's coming up in a few minutes.
very much, Mike. It is 8:28, and we have 47 degrees right now. A little bit of traffic too to tell you about, and then if I'm seeing right, we're going to take a call. We'll take a call in just a moment if we can. It's about the infrastructure. In fact, let's do that in just a minute. Let's first tell you about the traffic. We could bring up the traffic cam going into the GWB. You can see this is now really heavy. Now, I want to point something out. On the right side, the trucks there, that's going to the upper level. The left side is the lower level. So clearly we have an issue in the upper level approach to the GWB into Manhattan. The lower level flowing perfectly, or that could also indicate that there's an accident to the point on the screen. But for now, if you're getting into Manhattan, go to the lower level approach. You can see that it is moving much better. We also have some problems on Route 23, both directions. In Pequannock Township, all lanes are closed. That is going past Jackson Avenue. We have a problem on the Garden State Parkway. If you take a look at this, is a mile marker 142, the 142 tower, and this is in Hillside, by Hillside Maplewood. And you can just see that's really more volume than anything else. That's by I-78, the interchange. But you could just tell because of the areas of dense fog. You see that above there? That's the I-78 interchange. Because of the dense fog, that's causing a lot of problems on area roadways. Just be aware that the roadways are damp, of course, and slowing things down. Again, we have a major problem. We'll have Pam bring up the I-80, I should say, in Wharton. Exit 34 is now closed in both directions, and this is causing miles of backups in both directions. You got about a 45 to 60 minute slowdown if you are headed past that area. That's exit 34 in Wharton on I-80. Everybody being detoured off, not only eastbound, but westbound, because a second sinkhole, a big one, opened yesterday while workers were trying to find different voids. Well, they found one, and a big one. But thank God, take a minute and say, thank you, God, that the workers found it and a car didn't find it, because that would have meant certain death for somebody. Thankfully, the workers are okay. Nobody got hurt. And that is, if you find a construction worker saying they're working on I-80, thank them, because they're the ones they're saving lives by doing what they're doing. This is going to take months, folks. This is not going to be easy. It's going to take months, unfortunately, but thankfully they're on it right now. It is 46 degrees. And do we have our caller? Yes, we do have our caller. Let's see. Let's take our caller right now. And good morning. You are live on the air. Is this
good morning, Ken? How you doing?
Susan. Good morning. Are you stuck in that I-80 mess?
I am, and it's really funny because this morning I live in Sparta and I work in Fairfield. So this morning I was I'm going to go 23, and now I see that that's closed. So I feel like I'm living a video game, and the exciting thing is, how do you get to work?
Yeah, it is a
nightmare.
I
was calling. Oh, yeah. Thank God people I work with are nice. My bosses are nice. But I was calling as it relates to I-80 in the sinkhole for a couple, two main points. And the first one is I saw a notice from DOT on Monday that Monday night they closed westbound lanes and they were working in that median area. And then in the notice, it said something about, this way we're taking care of all of the smaller issues, and then we're going to be dealing with the bigger issues still. And I thought to myself, well, if they worked on it on Monday and that was a smaller issue, and now the hole opened up right where they were working a couple days before, it just shows me that I don't really think they know how to handle this or what's going on. And whatever this grout is that they're using, how do we know that's going to work? I mean, at this point, isn't it better just to start from scratch and fix it the right way?
That's a good point. I mean, Susan, that's a very good point. The question is, who is the engineering firm? And I still haven't gotten that answer. Who's the engineering firm that signed off on this? This was not built in 1920. Like a lot of interstate highways were built in the 40s. This was built in the late 60s and 70s. So we were in a modern era of technology. In fact, we already had the beginning computers. We knew we had ground technology that could test for voids and things. So who was the engineering firm who was paid, I'm sure, millions and millions of dollars maybe under the table by the governor at the time to make sure that it was safe to build a road there. And you're telling me that when they were laying down concrete, they didn't see the voids underneath? I mean, it's not that thick. It's only a foot thick. How did they not know? How on earth did somebody sign off on that?
I agree wholeheartedly. Plus, if you look at that atrium apartment complex that's there, I mean, they took this little small plot of land and they put in this really tall apartment complex and a parking garage next to it. And all I could think to myself is, when you go, this is what I always heard, and I may be wrong because I'm not a builder, but if you're going to build a taller structure, your footings and foundation have to be deeper into the ground. So how did they build that so close to where the sinkhole is on Route 80 if there was a mine there? How could they possibly get signed off and approval to do that? And now you're looking at all these poor people in a cracked foundation. And I mean, I feel terrible for the people who live there because, and if I lived there, I wouldn't want to keep living there, you know?
Absolutely.
If I lived on the 10th floor, I'd like to stay on the 10th floor, not the 3rd floor.
Right. Look, I live part-time in Florida on the ocean. All right. And just a few miles down the road from where I live was the big condo collapse that happened in Surfside, Florida. It was literally 15 minutes down, literally down A1A, where I'm on A1A. You go straight down that street. You don't even have to get off that street. And that's where the condo collapsed. Well, we know what happened. In that case, they had ginormous, I mean, foot-wide cracks. That's not a crack. That's a chasm. Foot-wide cracks. And they didn't ignore it for a year or 10 years. Sue, they ignored those cracks for 30 years. But somebody in the Miami-Dade County Planning Board, when the inspectors would come, somehow, you know, they would come see the foot-wide crack and say, I know how we could get rid of this problem. And they would walk away for 2 more years with money in their pocket. I mean, we know that because they're investigating it. I'm not just accusing them, that somebody was getting paid off. Because there's no way you would sign off on that. The question is, I want to know from the governor's office, why the hell we are not here. The governor's response right now is, we want to first get this reopened. Okay, you walk and chew gum. Find out who the engineering firm was who signed off on this, because somebody needs to go to jail. And I'm sure that company is still in existence. And I bet you that's why we're not hearing about it. But somebody needs to go to jail because they had to know there were 100 mines in that area. And if you're building an interstate highway that isn't just a local New Jersey road, this connects the East Coast to the West Coast. How do you not double check your engineering? This is unforgivable. Thank God nobody died. But as you're talking about, thousands of people like yourself are being affected every day by the commute, and the people living in that building now may have to leave their homes because of this absolute irresponsibility.
Right. And I'm just concerned as it relates to infrastructure in general, because living in Sparta during COVID, we had an overpass that was coming down in Jefferson over 15 on Weldon Road that somebody saw, and then they had to close that down. I'm still living through the bridge issue on 15 because that's still not fixed completely. They're working on that every day. You know, it's all of these things. And then you have this overpass now. I don't know if you've seen it on social media, but one of the overpasses, 15, goes underneath 80. It looks terrible. And all you think now is, I sit on that every day with all of these trucks and all of these cars. How long until this collapses? Like, and I just go back to Chris Christie being governor and charging more tax for gasoline per gallon. I think like last year, I don't even know what it is now, but at one point we were paying 37 cents per gallon just in taxes. And supposedly that new portion from Chris Christie was to go to infrastructure. Well, where's it going? Because all I see are problems that get fixed after something happens. I'm not seeing anything proactive.
And that is a very, you've now defined when a Democrat who has never seen, and Chris Christie was not a Democrat, but he was a liberal Republican. Democrats have never seen a tax they didn't like. Anytime there is a tax introduced, remember, it'll always get introduced. It'll never be removed. That's why when you see congestion pricing in New York,
absolutely.
I think it'll never, ever go away, Sue. That's there forever. When they start a toll, that toll never goes away. When was the last time you saw a toll decrease? Never. It doesn't.
Never.
Once they get it passed, and it was never
supposed to be forever. right? The Garden
Right.
State Parkway and the
Exactly.
Turnpike, that was just supposed to be until the road was paid off. Okay.
That's it. Yeah, whatever, lip
Yeah.
service. That's exactly the problem. And you're right. Show me the benefit from all the money, and maybe we'll talk about it. But when you have problems like this chasm or multiple chasms now, and it's only a matter of time before someone gets hurt. I hate to say it, but the fact is that we have been very fortunate. God has been shining his face down on us that
Oh,
nobody got seriously hurt or killed
amen.
so far. But
Mm-hmm.
how many voids have we not found up to this point that we may find,
Right.
unfortunately,
Sure.
the hard way on I-80? Sue, thank you so much. We love when you call. Call back anytime. I'm sorry you're stuck in that nightmare of a mess of traffic. I hope you get into work safe and sound and you're not too frustrated when you get there. We appreciate you. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Have a good day. Wow. And she is, I wouldn't be 1/10 as calm as that, being stuck in traffic like that for an hour in any direction. Let me just give a heads up to Mike. We'll get Mike on for a last report. I'll give him his heads up here. I'm sorry, Mike. We've been shifting around the break structure here because of the nature of the morning here. But it certainly is a challenge for all those people who are stuck trying to get to work. This is in Wharton, New Jersey, I-80. This is modern time, 2025, major interstate highways, something like that should not happen. But the fact that there's only about a foot of blacktop or asphalt that has been supporting how many millions of cars for 40 and 50 years, how is that not opened up sooner? It is a miracle that more people, that no one, not even more people, that no one got seriously hurt or killed. Let's just hope they finally fix this, but it's going to take months. 8:40 is our time, 46 degrees right now. We have areas of dense, patchy fog, and it's not going away too soon. Meteorologist Mike Favetta on this first day of spring. Tell us what we can expect. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ken. There's not only the obviously fog that's bringing down visibility, making for difficult travel, but that fog tends to hold in a lot of the atmospheric pollutants, the natural ones such as pollen. So if you're waking up this morning with the itchy eyes, the scratchy throat, maybe a really stuffy nose, could be tree pollen, because we are in the beginning of tree pollen season with the high level of tree pollen thanks to that sunny, warm day that we enjoyed yesterday and those breezes. Now the fog kind of helping that allergen linger into the air. The weeds category comes on a little later on in the season, in the next few months, followed by grasses. And then, of course, molds depends on the duration of if we get some wet weather around here. But we've been rather dry thanks to our drought, even though we have a very cool and misty morning across New Jersey, especially along the coast this morning. We start off in the 50s and stay there, not really warming up much more than that at the coast with that drizzle that lingers through Freehold. You have to head a little further west to get some breaks of sun and some upper 60s, because by the time we get to this afternoon in Trenton, Camden, over in Princeton, I think we could be flirting with 70 under mostly sunny skies before the rain comes in after around 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. Right now, winds are light, but they are coming in from the east, and that makes for a very persistent onshore flow, helping for a very foggy scene through this afternoon at the coast. Then with the wind shifting direction overnight, look what happens with these gusts. They will be on the order of 20, 30, maybe even near 40 miles per hour tomorrow morning. That's going to make for a very gusty wind chill, a very cold feeling. And with that gusty wind taking over throughout most of the weekend, I think it diminishes by Saturday. But again, the wind shifting into blowing from the south and west, helping us to warm a little bit by the end of the day. Check out the wind chill. You see these colors here, the bright shade of blue work across the state by tomorrow morning. We go from the 70s this afternoon inland to the teens tomorrow morning. Talk about a big drop in temperature. It's a strong cold front that will do its job of making it feel like it's winter first thing tomorrow morning. A very chilly feel on the way to start off your Friday, and it stays chilly throughout the afternoon with a little bit of a rebound in temperature. But the good news is we get a decent soaking out of it. Rainfall amounts will be upwards of 1 inch, and that could take us right down toward the coast. That's excellent news given how dry it's been, helping to make another dent in our drought, because every drop counts given how dry it's been. There's the front that moves in later on this evening. Plan on it to arrive no sooner than 6 p.m. in the western corner of the state. So we get a decent amount of clear sky inland later today before that front takes over and gives us our rain later on in the evening hours. And as that front approaches, with the winds that shift in, it'll help temperatures climb. There it is, 74, 73 over in Camden before the rains take over this evening. Soaking rains tonight, and then that clears out just in time for a dry but very chilly start for tomorrow. Actual air temperatures down in the upper 20s tomorrow morning, again with those wind chills in the teens. Then for Saturday morning, partly sunny skies, maybe a quick passing sprinkle possible, but we're back around 60 by Saturday afternoon. So lovely weather on the way, partly sunny skies into the end of the day. And I think Sunday looks to be a little bit drier with cooler air and a lot more clear sky in place. Monday brings back some cloud cover as soon as Sunday evening, in fact. And with that rain on Monday afternoon, I think we'll start off the day a little bit wet and see more showers develop throughout the day with our next round of wet weather that comes in. So enjoy the sunny weekend forecast with 61 on Saturday and 51 on Sunday. It's a cooler finish, but still lots of sunshine around to enjoy here across the Garden State, Ken.
Oh man, what a day. All right, on the first day of spring, enjoy the rest of your day, Mike. Good to see you. Thank you so much as always.
Back in.
And we'll catch you again on Monday, actually, Mike and I. All right, it's 47 degrees at 8:45, and we have a lot of traffic to talk about. In fact, right now, let's bring up this camera. This is down by exit 14. This is by Newark Airport. That's what you're looking at. So as people are getting off of the turnpike at exit 14, this is the Newark extension, Hudson County extension. You can see people exiting. Bayonne is to the right or the bottom of your screen, and Newark Airport is up where all the delays are. So that right now is a lot of delays going into the airport. So I'm just wondering if that's just volume at this hour, because guess who has to go there in like an hour? Yours truly. But that is really a mess to take a look at right now. We also have a lot of other local problems. In fact, we even have problems now on NJ Transit. The Northeast Corridor is reporting the 3823 train. It had a 9:25 arrival into Trenton. They're about half an hour late due to an earlier mechanical issue. And we have problems on train 3126. It's supposed to be an 8:31 arrival at PSNY, and they are canceled. And that's, again, due to earlier mechanical issues. Let's take a look, if we can, at the entrance to the GWB. This is also an absolute mess coming into Manhattan, but it's only one level. So if we have the New Jersey Turnpike going into the George Washington Bridge, Pam, do we have that? Earlier, what we saw was the lower level was flowing in, but the upper level was bumper to bumper. And so I think we still have that situation. We don't know what's going on the upper level, but this is a problem. So yeah, you can see the lower level is on the left side of the screen. Upper level approach is on the right. And you can see that that is really crawling. It's about a 45 to 50 minute delay on the upper level, about 30 minutes on the lower. And that's going on. Again, dense fog, damp roadways to be expected, you can imagine. And then again, coming back to us here, if you want to show the I-80 cam, we've been talking about this, the busy stretch of Interstate 80 in Wharton and Morris County, shut down now in both directions at exit 34. And that is because there was, look at that, that is a live look right now. Another sinkhole opened up yesterday. What they were trying to do in that median, you see where the 888 is? Right above the 888-658, right there is the new hole that opened up. The contractors were trying to build an overpass, a temporary overpass that would allow people traveling eastbound, where they're being detoured off, to have one lane take over one of the westbound lanes temporarily. And that was going to be for trucks. They figured that would ease up traffic on Route 23 going through local roads in Wharton, et cetera. Well, as they were trying to check to make sure the foundation was fine, that happened. That right there, there's the hole on the top of the screen. Thank you for that, Pam. And you can see, as they've shown, look at that. So the top of the screen is the original sinkhole, and this is the new one that opened up as they were trying to probe. That's the original, and that's the new one. So that's the nightmare that we now have on Route 80 in Wharton, exit 34. And this is going to take months. This is not a quick fix, because now they got to figure out where all the voids are. Our caller Sue a little while ago is stuck on Route 23, which she thought would be a good bypass. But nope, it's bumper to bumper because no one can take I-80 east or westbound And again, that's going to be the case for the months ahead. Absolute nightmare. Just thankfully, again, nobody got hurt in the process. And this follows months of closures that we've had in just the eastbound side. The question is, why are we hearing crickets from our wonderful governor, the most powerful gubernatorial seat in the entire country, and we're hearing nothing from his office about this? He declared an emergency, and then you never heard another word about it. 8:48 right now, and our temperature is 47 degrees. The Ocean County prosecutor is investigating the death of an infant in a car on Tuesday. Lakewood Township Police responded to a call about an infant in a vehicle on 5th Street. Despite efforts by the EMS, a 4-month-old boy was pronounced dead at Monmouth Medical Center Southern Campus. The incident under investigation by multiple agencies, including the prosecutor's major crime unit. It's 8:49. The Ocean County prosecutor is investigating the death of an infant in a car on Tuesday. Lakewood Township Police responded to a call about an infant in a vehicle on 5th Street. Despite efforts by EMS, the 4-month-old boy was pronounced dead at Monmouth Medical Center Southern Campus. The incident under investigation by multiple agencies, including the prosecutor's major crime unit. In Essex County, a man has been sentenced to 65 years in prison for the fatal shooting of another man outside a ShopRite in East Orange back in 2022. I believe we have video of this. Darian Murray, 37, of Orange, was convicted of murder and weapons charges for killing Melja Oliver, also 37, with a gunshot to the head. Prosecutors say Murray is required to serve 56 years before parole eligibility, basically putting him behind bars for the rest of his natural life. 8:50, New Jersey State Police are asking for your help in identifying a man wanted for credit card fraud. On February 3rd, about 7:30 in the evening, police say this man stole credit cards at the John Fenwick service area on the Turnpike in Oldmans Township, Salem County. The suspect made purchases at the convenience store before getting away. And if you have any info, please contact Morristown Station Detective Bureau, 609-860-9000, extension 3226. The New Jersey DOT has launched an $18 million project to replace bridge fenders on the Route 71 bridge over the Shark River in Belmar. Starting March 21st, the main channel's horizontal clearance will shrink from 50 to 25 feet, with crews working weekdays and Saturdays from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. The project, set to wrap up by the summer, will not affect bridge traffic, but boaters should plan for the reduced clearance. 8:51, do you like air shows? I love air shows, and the Atlantic City Air Show is returning. Visit Atlantic City is teaming up with Herb Gillen Air Shows to bring back the beloved air show with the Visit Atlantic City Soar and Shore Festival, set for July 15th and 16th. The free event will dazzle crowds with jaw-dropping aerial feats along Atlantic City's iconic beach. Organizers promise a spectacle for families and aviation fans alike, and that will definitely bring a big boost to local tourism. 8:51 now, it is 47 degrees. 8th and 9th graders from Orange schools recently dove into the world of law enforcement at a special career event. They were joined by pros from NJ Transit Police, Orange Township Police and Fire, the SWAT team, detectives, and legal experts. The students explored the field through engaging talks and lively Q&A sessions, sparking interest in future careers. 8:52 right now, and if you are into politics in Trenton, New Jersey, like nobody else, will tell you all about it. Here is the New Jersey Globe editor, David Wildstein, with the Inside Edge.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Inside Edge. It's Thursday, March 20th. New Jersey has 564 municipalities. The smallest one is Walpack in Sussex County. The last U.S. Census put the population at 7. And Walpack has become a ghost town over the last 7 decades. In 1955, the U.S. government came up with a plan to ease flooding on the Delaware River. They were going to build the Tox Island Dam and a man-made 40-mile-long, 1-mile-wide lake that would have completely engulfed Walpack. Using eminent domain, the government claimed about 70,000 acres in the area, including all of Walpack. Their population dropped from 384 to 150 between 1970 and 1980. It went down to 67 in 1990, 41 in 2016 and 2010. And despite taking the homes of Walpack residents, the government wound up abandoning the project completely. Most of the houses in Walpack are owned by the government, and they are completely uninhabitable. But there are some advantages to living there. The average property tax bill is about $450 a year. It might be the lowest in the state. There is zero municipal property taxes, just what they collect to send some kids to a school in a neighboring town and what they collect for Sussex County. They appear to have a shared service agreement that might be a model for the entire state. And I want to tell you a story about the mayor of Walpack, Vincent Maglio. A couple of years ago, there was a leaky roof at Township Hall. So the mayor went to Home Depot. He bought some roof shingles, and he bought some nails and whatever other roofing supplies he needed. This is not my area of expertise. Drove back to Town Hall, took his ladder, went up on the roof, and he fixed the leak. And he did it at a cost to the taxpayers of about $80. No red tape, no bureaucracy, just a dry Township Hall. And I once asked Mayor Maglio why, with a record of delivering a zero property tax budget and a Bryant Stack way of getting things done, why doesn't he run for governor? And Mayor Maglio just laughed at me. So it's unclear what the future of Walpack will be. Power Quarry Township was right next door, also a casualty of the Tox Island Dam project. It dissolved in 1997 after its population dropped to 6. So while we wait and see if this very charming town on the Delaware River that got completely and totally screwed over by the U.S. government, we wait and see if it survives. Don't forget to visit the really nice Walpack Inn for a great steak dinner. That's all I have for today, and hopefully you will come back tomorrow to listen to more.
Thank you, sir. 8:56. Rowan softball head coach Kim Wilson picks up career win 1,000. She is the first ever female head coach in Division III to pick up 1,000 wins after the Props beat Wisconsin Stout 10-2. Wilson adds to the list of accolades after picking up win 900 at Rowan University last season and her induction into the NFCA Hall of Fame class of 2023. Congrats. And check out this sweet face. Look at this baby we're going to show you here. Look at that. That is Sherry, a 1-year-old yellow lab looking for her forever home, weighing in at 55 pounds. Sherry is friendly. Sherry loves being around people, a good belly rub and scratch and long walks. Sounds like a dating profile. Well, maybe. It's someone you could fall in love with. To make Sherry a member of your family, please reach out to American Lab Rescue at AmericanLabRescue.com. All one word, AmericanLabRescue.com. I wish I had room in the house right now. You would be in this house, Sherry. What a beauty. I hope you get your forever home ASAP. And it is 47 degrees at 8:57. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says we still have some areas of dense patchy fog this morning, a few showers. It'll be mostly cloudy later. It'll stay foggy for a while, though, at the shore. Highs today near 60 throughout much of New Jersey. But at the shore, when the fog burns off and we get a little sun, it could actually approach 70, but most of the state will be 60. And that is on New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday, March 20th. I'm Ken Rosato. Remember, you could stream us at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And we stream live on Rumble and Twitch. Just go to twitch.tv/OnNewJersey. We will catch you again tomorrow morning at 7. Tell all your friends about us. Say, hey, we live on New Jersey Mornings. Until then, have a great day. Thank you so much for watching.